It is important now to introduce the subject of what type of DIMS it is, whether it is a personalised DIMS or a class DIMS, and I'll recap on what that means, but the consequence of that difference is you can be regulated under the Financial Advisors Act as an AFA only to provide a personalised DIMS. The Financial Advisors Act can no longer regulate you to provide a class DIMS. So again, to go back to sort of first principles here, the logic is a class DIMS is essentially like an investment firm business. So that's why all of that activity is being taken out of the Financial Advisors Act and put into the Financial Markets Conduct Act and is being regulated along with all other investment management business. So you can only operate a DIMS under the FAA if it's limited to personalised. So a couple of important things to mention here. The first is it's very easy for a financial advisor to get a Financial Markets Authority license if they want to do a sort of limited class DIMS as well. So it's not a closed door, it's just a different door that you've got to go through. The second is to talk about this definition of personalised and class. If the investment strategy that you're using for your client is tailored specifically for that client, so all of the investment decisions about what you buy and sell and what proportions are in is absolutely individualized to that particular client, then it's personalized. The second you are templating any of it and doing any of that investment decision making in categories of clients or classes of clients, it becomes a class business. And a lot of the feedback from people who are doing this providing this sort of service is that in many situations, in effect, it's a class service. So the FMA, I understand, imagined that personalised DIMS is going to be quite a narrow field of people, of businesses. So I don't think they're expecting a huge number of AFAs to be providing a personalised DIMS. In other words, they don't expect a huge number of AFAs to be conducting their DIMS business under their AFA authorisation.
Okay.
That's not to say you can't. Absolutely you can, but you've got to be very, very careful to make sure that it doesn't go beyond the boundaries of personalised. And where I find it very confusing is from an advice point of view, when you talk about the personalised and class distinction, it's very, very difficult to be class. The default in advice is personalised. Everything is personalised, and it's only in quite rare situations that it's a class. But that's only for advice. When it comes to DIMS, the reverse is true, and it's just unfortunate that they've used these same words, personalised and class, because in a DIMS situation, basically most activity is class, and it's only when it's very clearly, specifically tailored for individual client that it becomes personalised. So when you're being regulated for advice, you're desperately trying to argue that it's not a personalised service because the regulation of class is more lenient, and it's exactly the reverse for DIMS. You're desperately trying to argue that it is personalised because there's less regulation around personalised DIMS. And again, it goes back to what's being regulated. The Financial Advisors Act.
So there's less regulation around personalised DIMS?
Yes, personalised DIMS is much more lightly regulated. Yeah. So, the logic is investment management is, from a regulatory point of view, more risky activity. So there are a whole bundle of regulations around that's put in the Financial Markets Conduct Act, and class pulls you into that new world. In advice, if you like, the two central things that are being focused on is that whole suitability test, making sure that your advice is suitable for the client's financial situation and goals, and making sure that you don't have conflicts. And that becomes far more important in a personalised sense But that's not the focus in investment management. Investment management is about protecting the assets and making sure that you've got good decision making around how the investments are made. It's not about matching client needs to the advice being given. It's two different regulatory objectives.